What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, so that buys something that feels something. And today we're back at it with another review. And for today's review, we are taking a look at Jazwares Halo, the Spartan Collection Commander Agryna. This is part of the Spartan Collection Wave 8, so it's really awesome to see Wave 8 coming out so soon after Wave 7 just finished releasing. And I just finished all the Wave 7 videos, so if you want to check those out after this video, you're more than welcome to. And at any point during or after the video, you do realize you want to pick up this figure for yourself, it's going to be the same situation with Wave 7, where you have to go in person to your local GameStop and pick up this figure for $21.99, because it seems like there are no online options to buy these figures unless you want to turn to eBay and pay a ridiculous amount for a figure that is only worth $21.99. And then of course Walmart and Target just have seemed to remove their Halo sections entirely for whatever reason that may be. I don't know, and I promise once there are actual online options that aren't just eBay to buy these figures, I will put links in the description of the video so it's easier for you to pick up these figures. And with all that said, I think it's time to get into the review. Starting off with the packaging, we have our standard Spartan Collection packaging, and it seems like everything is included, so that is nice to see. On the bottom we have the title of our figure. On the side we have a nice photo of our figure in like a hologram state, and on the back we have a nice larger in color picture of our figure, and it mentions everything that is included. On the bottom we have the rest of Wave 8, and it is looking good. We have Douglas finishing off Red Team, Halo 5 Chief, and a custom Halo 3 Spartan, so very excited to get my hands on those figures. And then with all that being said, let's open up this packaging and proceed with the review. Starting off with head articulation, you can rotate her head 360 degrees, which is always really nice to see. And then you can have her look up and down in a really good amount because of that really good neck articulation there. And then unfortunately, you can't really have her tilt her head side to side. But the fortunate news is, because of the other components articulating so well, you can still have her look around and express herself in a variety of ways through head movement. So really nice to see that, and overall very happy with the head articulation on this figure. And for those who are curious, the head articulation with the helmet on is pretty much the same. You can still rotate the head 360 degrees and get that really good neck bend, so she can look up and down a really good amount, and she can't really tilt her head at all, but she can again still look around in a variety of directions and still express herself through head movement. So yeah, even with the helmet, the head articulation is still the same and really good, so happy to see that there. And looking at the arms, we can rotate it 360 degrees up and over, and then if we bring the arm up, we can also spin it 360 degrees from that point as well. And then of course we can bring up the arm a really good amount, which means we can open up the arm a really good amount as well. And then looking at the tricep bicep area of the figure, that can be rotated or swiveled independently from the shoulder joint for further articulation and reaching of objects or whatever they are holding, so it's nice to see that as well. And then when we get to the elbow bend, Jazwares actually improved upon it. With Wave 8, we are seeing the elbows be further improved, and we can get the forearm to go way above the 90-degree bend, so our figures can actually do shoulder taps. So I'm really happy to see this. First Wave 7 they fixed the knee joints, and now with this wave they fixed elbow joints. And then with the hands, you rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrist however you please. And overall with this arm articulation, I love it. It's great. This is a step in the right direction. Jazwares, please keep up the amazing work that you're doing and making these figures better with each release. And even though Jazwares has fixed the elbow situation, they have not touched up on the torso situation whatsoever. The torso articulation for these figures is still really bad, and there's no articulation really at all. It's just frustration and trying to move their torso. So yeah, unfortunately the torso articulation is still really bad on these figures. And finally, looking at her leg articulation, we can rotate the legs 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And then when it comes to the splits, we can get maybe half a split, just above half. I don't know, it's still a good range of motion nonetheless. It still allows for a lot of good action poses or stances. And then we can bring up her legs a decent amount, so you can have her sit in a chair or off the ledge of the cliff or wherever you want her to sit. And then when it comes to the knee bend, we can get a really good knee bend off of both legs, but I want to make it clear that one of her legs is prosthetic. So for instance, this leg right here, it looks organic, it looks nice, and that is the articulation in the knee that we saw come in Wave 7. And then we have the other leg, which looks a little funky, but that is because that is her prosthetic leg and that's how it looks when it bends. It's not them, giving us that really bad knee articulation we saw before Wave 7. So do not freak out. It's because her leg is quite literally built different, and so good to see that attention to detail and nothing to worry about. And then we can rotate the foot 360 degrees and bend the ankle however we please. And of course the toe articulation on the end of the foot, you can just wiggle the toes up and down. And then with that being said, I'm very happy with the leg articulation on this figure. It's this quality that we saw come with Wave 7, and I hope they keep it up because it's amazing. And overall with this figure's articulation, I'm very happy with it. With the release of Wave 8, we are seeing Jazwares take a step in the right direction and giving us that awesome elbow articulation, so our figures can hold their weapons or any other props more comfortably, and we can put them in more poses. So very happy to see that. That was an issue I did complain about in the Wave 7 reviews. And of course the torso articulation is still the dog dookie quality that we've been seeing already, but overall, again, very happy with the rest of this figure's articulation. Head, leg, arms, great. I know I already showed this, but I figure I'll show it off one more time. But the heads are swappable. You just pop one off and pop the other on. We've seen this in the Spartan collection multiple times already, and we've seen this with other figures 1,000 times already, so you know how this works, so don't have to go too in depth with it, but figured I'd show it off nonetheless because this is the features and accessory segment of the video, and this is very much a feature with the figure. And then we have our swappable hands as well. We have a total of 7 included. We have 2 holding hands, 2 tactical call out hands as I dub them, 2 trigger finger hands, and 1 closed fist. And for our first weapon included, we do get the Hydra, and this is our first time seeing the Hydra in the Spartan collection, and this is of course the Infinite model, and I think Jazwares did such a great job at recreating it for this figure. And we can see with all the different little details they got down, the screws, components, buttons, switches, they got the little Hydra logo on the side down. I think they did such a great job with just executing how this weapon looks, and the only complaint I think I can come up with for this weapon is they didn't paint the ammo counter on it. I know they've painted ammo counters on weapons previously, and this is one of the more larger ones, so I don't know why they didn't, but I'm not gonna really dock points for that because the rest of this weapon looks really good, and I don't think that them painting the ammo counter makes or breaks this accessory. And then for our second weapon included, we do get the sidekick. We've seen this 1,000 times already, so I'm not gonna really go in depth about it. It's a great mold. They got a lot of details down, very impressive, very nice, no complaints about the visual execution whatsoever. Just a well-rounded accessory that does its job. And then of course, if you want to display your weapons on your Spartan, you just take this little thigh piece out, you plug it into your weapon, and then once it's plugged in, you put it back on your Spartan, and now the weapon is on their thigh looking all nice and cool. And of course, if you want to undo this, you just take the weapon out, you take the little peg out, turn it back around, and plug it back into the thigh. It is easy as that. And the principle for the thigh piece is the same exact for the back piece. You just take it out, you plug it into your weapon of choice, you put that on the back of your Spartan, and your weapon is now being displayed on their back like it's a magnet, which is really cool to see. I like how Jazwares has been doing this for a very long time now. And then of course, if you want to undo what you did, you just take the weapon off the back, you take the peg, turn it around, and plug it back into the Spartan's back, and it was like it was never there in the first place. So when it comes to the visual presentation of Agryna, there's a lot to like about this figure. Starting off with the sculpt work, yet again, Jazwares is known for getting down every little detail on Spartan armor, from the different layers of paneling to, the indents, curves, line work, just all the works that we see on Spartan armor. Jazwares usually gets down to a T, and that is seen here on our figure, so very happy to see that there. And then when it comes to the paint job, as far as I'm concerned, these are all the right colors that we're supposed to be seeing on her armor, so very happy to see that. I will say the figure looks a little flat. I've been saying this about the Spartan collection for a long time, though. This isn't just this figure's issue, this is just something that I kind of see with most Spartan collection figures, where I just wish that Jazwares would panel line them, or give them some kind of black wash, add some grit, really allow for the finer, smaller details that they work so hard to sculpt into this figure to pop out, similar to how McFarlane produced their figures. And one last thing I want to point out that I really like that Jazwares got down was the bumblebee on her chest, the little mirage symbol around her waist, and they even painted her knees different colors from the undersuit of her organic leg and the metal from her prosthetic leg. Again, I thought those were little attention to details that I thought were very much appreciated that they got down, because some of us might not even notice the Mirage symbol around her waist, or like for instance, I didn't know she had a prosthetic leg until making this video. So again, Jazwares did a great job going out of their way to getting down those extra details that some fans may or may not have known. And overall, I am very pleased with the visual presentation of this figure. I love the reflective visor, I love the sculpting, I love pretty much everything this figure has to offer. Again, I feel like the appearance is a little flat, and I'd like a little more grit to allow for those smaller, finer details to pop. But overall, I think Jazwares does a consistently good job at giving us good looking figures, and that is obviously seen here. So putting our figure into scale with some size comparisons, kicking it off with Jazwares is the World of Halo Infinite Master Chief, NECA's Alien Big Chap, NECA's Predator 2 Elder Predator aka Greyback, Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper, and finally we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. And here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much where I go over what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, give my general thoughts and opinions about the figure, and give y'all something to bounce off of and go down in the comment section below and get a conversation started. And I'll most likely reply to y'all's comments because obviously I love talking about this stuff. And I first want to cover the sour stuff because I don't like dreading on the bad for longer than I have to. And honestly, one thing only comes to mind, and that is the torso. It kind of upsets me that Jazware's taking all these steps in the right direction, yet they refuse to address the torso. I don't know if that's because they're still trying to figure it out, but whatever they're doing, I hope that they fix this soon, whether it's in wave 9 or 10. Just Jazwares, please fix the torso articulation. It's killing me that our agile super soldiers, Spartans, can't move their torso for shit. And then this is where I go on a whole tangent about how Jazwares should just be like McFarlane when it comes to the visual presentation of their figures, and make their figures look really gritty and paneline almost every little detail, so all the small line work and everything that they got in the sculpt work does pop out and, you know, really come to life, which, yes, that would be nice. I do love the gritty aesthetic that, you know, McFarlane got on their Halo figures, and I would love to see that in the scale of the Jazwares figures. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think Jazwares is already doing an amazing job. I really enjoy what they're giving us, especially with the redemption we're seeing in Wave 7, and even further improvement upon the figures in Wave 8. It gives me hope that with each release we're getting more higher quality figures. And yes, I agree that sometimes the paint job on the figures might be a little too clean or a little too flat, but they're still getting down the details. They're still sculpting all the little lines and curves and layers of the armor onto the figure. So if that means I just have to panel line or, you know, black wash the figure myself for those smaller details to pop out, then so be it. I don't mind spending a couple extra bucks to get black wash or whatever I need to make my figure look better, because at the end of the day, I think Jazwares is already giving us a great product. And if it means to spend a couple bucks just to make it even a better product, so be it. It's fine. I love Jazwares with what they're doing. Just for the love of God, please fix the torso articulation. And then getting on to the more positive side of things, one thing that I did enjoy is that we have a new weapon under the Spartan Collection portfolio. Because if you don't know me already, more weapons means more fun, more ways to display your figures, and all the different, you know, options with toyography. If you have more weapons, stuff like that. I just enjoy when there's more weapons at my figure's disposal. And I think, you know, the Hydra is a excellent addition to the Spartan Collection portfolio, and I think that Jazwares did such a great job at replicating it and translating it into the Spartan Collection. So great job on Jazwares' end for making a really good looking Hydra. And then another thing I'm very happy about that we're finally seeing with Wave 8, I wish we saw it very much sooner on in the Spartan Collection's lifespan, but the elbow articulation has been improved upon. We can now get shoulder taps out of our figures, and this has been something I've been wanting to see for a while now, and I was really anal about it in the Fred video I did, because he couldn't properly shoulder his DMR because of his elbow articulation and how limited it was. But now that we can have our figures, you know, move their forearms, you know, way higher than they could before and actually articulate their arms a lot better. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing our figures being able to shoulder their weapons properly and actually look like they're aiming down sights, or have more tactical poses for toyography or whatever you want to display them for. So very happy to see this improvement in the Spartan Collection. Hopefully the next articulation improvement they make is on the torso, because after that, that's the only thing I have left to bitch about articulation wise. If Jazwares fixes the torso articulation, I will say that the articulation throughout the entire body is solid, and I'll stop complaining about the articulation of these figures. Now, the Hydra and the elbow articulation are the only two things that really stuck out to me about this figure. Not saying that everything else about this figure is bad. The articulation throughout the rest of the figure is standard now. This is what we're used to seeing. So the good leg articulation, the good head articulation, and the articulation that we've already seen in the arms, that stuff is, you know, standard with the Spartan Collection, and it is good quality in my eyes. And then, of course, visual presentation. I think the sculpt work is amazing, but that's also a standard with the Spartan Collection, so that's why it didn't really stick out to me. And so if just because I don't mention something doesn't mean I dislike it. It's more so I would like to point out the things that make this figure stick out from the rest. And in this case, this is the only figure to come with a Hydra, and also this is the first figure I'm reviewing of Wave 8, which is introducing the elbow articulation, so of course I'm going to address it. But there are plenty of other things to love about this figure. It's just things that we've already seen in the Spartan Collection and can be considered the standard. So yeah, just wanted to clear that up, and with all that said, that's pretty much all I have to say about this figure. So to summarize my overall thoughts and feelings in one large sentence, I believe that this is an amazing looking and feeling figure, except for the torso articulation. That's an issue we've been seeing since day one of the Spartan Collection, really, and I really hope that Jazwares does fix that soon, especially seeing that each wave they do improve something upon the figure. So hopefully they improve the torso articulation upon wave 9, if not wave 10, please. But after that, this figure looks great, for the most part feels great. Very happy with the improvement of the elbow articulation now that our figures can do shoulder taps. That's something I've been wanting to see for a while now, and we finally have it, so that's amazing. And then I think the Hydra is an amazing addition to the Spartan Collection weapon portfolio, and hopefully with each wave they keep giving us new weapons to add and display our figures with. So yeah, overall I can't recommend this figure enough, because if this is the current state of the Spartan Collection, and with each wave there's a new improvement upon the figures themselves, I can't wait to see what Jazwares has in stock for us. So please tell me down below, are you or are you not interested in getting this figure if you don't have this figure already? And if you do have this figure, please tell me down below, do you like or dislike this figure, and what do you like or dislike about this figure? And if you did enjoy this video, a like and a subscription would be phenomenal. You don't have to comment, even though I ask all the time, because I know I get it, it's a lot of effort. But if you do comment, I'll most likely reply, because I obviously love talking about this stuff. And don't worry about the bell, we both know that shit is broken. And if you do want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I've already reviewed a bunch of Spartan Collection stuff already, and I also do Star Wars stuff and NECA stuff as well, predominantly Predator and Alien stuff in the realm of NECA. And so if any of that does interest you, you're more than welcome to go check that out. And with that all being said, please have a great day and stay hydrated, it's important.